We all have seen movie Best 300, which is based on an ancient true story, but did you hear about Best 40? If your answer is no, then you must have to watch this video. Who were the Best 40 and why they're known as spiritual warriors? They had cut apart, piece by piece, but they never left the field of battle. They fought and died for justice, truth and religion, freedom for all humanity. As we know that in the Battle of Thermopylae a small force led by King Leonidas of Sparta blocked the only road through which the massive army of Xerxes I could pass. The King Leonidas stayed behind with 300 Spartans. Though they knew it meant their own deaths, they secured a retreat of the other Greek forces, the Thermopylae, holding off nearly 100,000 to 150,000 Persians. The movie Best 300 is about that victory of a few brave men holding their ground against a larger adversary. But, what should your reaction if I say that there is another true story that is symbol of bravery and sacrifice? It was fought by 40 Sikh soldiers led by Guru Gobind Singh against Hindu and Mughal army or Islamic army. The Battle of Chamkaur, also known as the historical Battle of Chamkaur, was a battle fought between the Sikh soldiers, led by Guru Gobind Singh, against the Mughal army and Ajmer Chand's League of Rajput Hill Chieftains. The period of this battle in Chamkaur is 21, 22 and the 23rd of December 1704. 40 Sikh soilder fought against approx 1 million Mughal army. Mughals had 1 million soldiers, so it was a huge number compared to Sikh soldiers. In this battle Sikhs show that how is Sikh soldiers equal to 125,000 soldiers or ordinary men. Guru Gobind Singh makes a reference to this battle in the Zafarnama. The Zafarnama is a letter which written by Guru Gobind Singh to the Islamic Emperor, Aurangzeb. He tells how a huge Mughal army attacked his Sikhs who were only 40 in number and without food. In spite of their numerical strength, the Mughal soldiers were unable to kill or capture the Guru. The Guru also talks of cowardice of one of the Mughal generals and how he hid himself behind a wall, not having the courage to face the Guru Gobind Singh. Let's talk about the background of this battle. Under the pressure of a prolonged siege with food and ammunition exhausted, Guru Gobind Singh and 400 Sikhs lieutenant Purs fought on the bitter cold and rainy night of December 20, 1704. The Mughals and Ajmer Chand's League of Rajput Hill Chieftains had offered Guru Sahib a safe passage to leave Anand Purs fought on an oath sworn on the Quran, an oath that had been signed by Emperor Aurangzeb, as well as an oath sworn on the cow, which Hindus consider sacred, by the Rajput chieftains. However, their respective holy oaths proved to be meaningless as they lost little time betraying their promises to Guru Sahib. Almost as soon as the Sikhs had left the safety of their impregnable fortress, in the early hours of the intervening night of 21 December 1704 at the river Sarsa, at a distance of about 25 km from Anand Purs fort, the Guru and his Sikhs were attacked by the Mughal army, breaking their oath of assuring safe conduct. In the confusion, which followed the attack in the cold and darkness, many Sikhs became martyrs called Shahid. A group of Sikhs fought the armies, keeping them back while the rest of the Sikhs, Guru Sahib and their family crossed the river in the heat of the battle. Many Sikhs perished attempting to cross the frigid waters of the turgid, rain-swollen river. Their bodies were swept away by the swift current. During the confusion, the Guru's mother and his two youngest sons, Gurus, got separated from the Khalsa forces. Of the 400 that had left Anand Purs fort, only the Guru, his two eldest sons, the Panj Pyaras who 5 beloved ones, and 40 Sikhs were able to cross the river and regroup on the other side. Guru's mother and his two youngest sons got separated from the band of Sikhs. In the evening, Guru with his Sikhs took control of a mud fortress on a small hill also called Kukigahi, which was owned by two brothers Rup Chand and Jagat Singh. They offered their services to Guru. Guru Sahib and 40 Singhs moved into the house of Rup Chand and Jagat Singh situated on a hill. The mud fortress with its high-parameter mud brick wall now became the fort of Guru Sahib. At the commencement of Amrit Villa, early hours of the day before sunrise, Guru Sahib asked to buy Sangat Singh. "Wake up Sangat Singh," It's time for Azadi Var. Let's do Kirtan, Guruji said. What an amazing warrior Saint Guru was. An army of around 1 million was pursuing Guru Sahib and planning to attack the place where they were staying, and yet Guru Sahib was still blissfully continuing his daily discipline of meditation, Nitnem and Kirtan, with his Singhs. Mughal generals yelled over the wall, Gobind Singh, if you and your Sikhs come out now, you will be spared. Guru Sahib replied to this with a rain of arrows. There was silence now in the cold morning. Clouds filled the sky followed by thunder and lightning. Guru and the Singhs became ready for the battle. In the chilly hours before sunrise a Mughal messenger came to negotiate with the Sikhs. However, Guru Sahib told the messenger to go away or face death. Inside the four walls of the mud house Guru Sahib declared war. First one Singh came out, and when he was about to become martyr, he roared the slogan of Sat Shri Akal. As soon as the sound of Sat Shri Akal echoed throughout the battlefield, the next Singh came out to fight in the battleground. The Mughal generals was astonished at what these Singhs were made of. He remembered the sayings of the Sikhs that one Sikh equaled 125,000, mean the bravery of one Sikh is equal to that of 125,000 ordinary men. With Guruji's blessings, 6 of the Sikhs, Muha Singh, Kairat Singh, Anand Singh, Lal Singh, Kizar Singh and Amalak Singh went forth to show their worth. Despite the overwhelming odds, the Sikhs inflicted tremendous losses on the Mughals, but eventually one by one they were fatally wounded and departed to join Waheguru. Ajit Singh, the elder son, then went before Guru Sahib and said, "Dear father, permit me to go and fight on the battleground and grace me with the opportunity to make my life fruitful and worthy in service of the Panth." Guru Gobind Singh hugged his beloved son and gave him a shastra weapon. Little of a beard or moustache had yet appeared on Ajit Singh's face, showing how young he was. Every father wants to see his child get married, but this was the time of fighting the enemy and defending the path of righteousness. But that day death was waiting and Ajit Singh would be marrying death. The sun was about to rise. Guru saw Mughal generals intending to seize the fort of Chamkaur in one attempt. The Mughal generals surrounded the fort with their army. At this time the Singhs made a request to Guru Sahib that since there was no means of escaping the siege, he should escape with the sons. However, Guru Sahib told them that there is no difference between the Singhs and the sons. You are all my sons. We will be victorious and we will all be free. Ajit Singh boldly and valiantly came out of fort, accompanied with 5 other Singhs, which included one of the original Panj Pyari, by Mohkam Singh. Guru watched the battle scene from the top of the fort. There was silence on all 4 sides. As they came into the battleground they roared Jaikari, which sounded like the roar of a lion. Today the 5 Singhs felt proud that under the leadership of Ajit Singh, they had been blessed with an opportunity to fight on the side of the truth and the correct path of Guru Nanak. Ajit Singh with the 5 Sikhs advanced swiftly onto the battlefield, displaying his great courage, bravery and skills with weapons. The enemy was immediately repulsed and many of the soldiers of the treacherously deceitful Mughal and hill forces met their deaths. Such was the fury of the Sikh contingent and the dedicated, continuous and precise support from the mud fortress that this small Sikh party of 6 brave men of the Khalsa eliminated hundreds of brave enemy soldiers. The enemy in one section was completely paralyzed and disabled by the enormous strength and sudden impact of the Khalsa unit, with protection fire from the fort, which kept the surrounding army units in check and blocked their involvement in the battle on the ground. After killing many hundreds of the enemy, the group began to take casualties. Slowly the impact of the unit began to diminish, and after almost an hour, the enemy began surrounding the Ajit Singh from all 4 sides. Ajit Singh called out, "Come nearer if you have courage." The soldiers ran away frightened. Slowly, they began coming back in a larger group as not a single one of them had the courage to individually fight Ajit Singh. The Singh's weaponry skill on the battlefield reminded the Mughal soldiers of Ali, their fabled warrior, and they feared for their lives. While fighting, Ajit Singh's kirpan, sword, broke. He then began to fight with a nature spear. However, while killing one Mughal chief, it became stuck in his chest. Even then, Ajit Singh remained in bliss and peace. While fighting, However, one by one the 5 Singhs were overcome and lost their life and became martyrs of the Guru. One Mughal chief injured Babur's horse. As a result, Ajit Singh fought from the ground with his sword. With each blow of his sword, he split the enemy into 2. When he struck the enemy twice with his sword, they got cut up into 4 pieces. Now as the army surrounded the Ajit Singh, Guru watched with keen interest to see how bravely his son would live his last few minutes of life. When Ajit Singh attained Shahidi, Guru Sahib roared a Jaikara of Sat Sri Akal full of emotions and courage, a salutation to the Almighty for the blessing of such a brave and noble son. The news of Ajit Singh attaining martyrdom spread. Hearing the news of his brother, Judge Singh now desired to fight in the battlefield. He asked Guru Sahib, "Permit me, dear father, to go where my brother has gone. Don't say that I am too young. I am your son. I am a Singh, a lion, of yours. I shall prove worthy of you. I shall die fighting, with my face towards the enemy, with the name on my lips and the Guru in my heart." Guru Gobind Singh embraced him and said, "Go my son and wed the life-giving bride, Death. May the Almighty be with you always." Guru Sahib gave blessings to Judge Singh just like a father gives blessings to the bride on the day of her marriage. Guru added, "I asked my father to give his life for Dharam, righteousness and justice. Today, what I told my father, I now tell you, son." Bhai Himat Singh and Bhai Sahib Singh, 2 of the original Panj Pyare, along with 3 other Singhs accompanied Judge Singh. The Mughals were shocked at what they saw. To the enemy, it looked as if Ajit Singh had come back. Whoever dies, let him die such a death that he does not have to die again. Dead bodies lay everywhere. Judge Singh chose to attack another section of the enemy. He had observed the enemy and chose to attack the section who were showing more aggression against the Sikhs in the mud fort than the rest of the enemy. Initially, the enemy did not have any courage to formulate an attack against this second unit. After the fury of the force displayed by Ajit Singh's unit, to them this appeared like a repeat of the same disaster that had befallen them an hour or 2 ago. They had not even had time to recover from the previous shock, and now they had a second wave of the same enormously vibrant energy. This time the enemy was driven even further back. Many just took flight as they thought that the Sikh numbers must have increased, and so many of the enemy deserted the battlefield. This new force of 6 Khalsa soldiers killed many hundreds of the enemy. Many simply ran away. The enemy was stunned by the heavy force and thrust of this second attack and had little choice but to retreat back. The Khalsa unit created a huge void in the enemy territory, and a small circle of about 35 meters within the enemy ground was under the control of the Sikhs. No one had the courage to enter into this circle of control. Anyone who entered this area of command was immediately challenged and quickly extinguished. The Khalsa unit, with their backs to the center of this circular area, attacked the enemy courageously and with vigor at the perimeter of the controlled region. The Guru watched this development with pride and gratefulness to the Almighty, and he knew that the Sikhs had learned the lessons of warfare well and would soon join the many hundreds of Sikh martyrs who had attained the highest honor of Dharma. The Almighty had indeed blessed the sons and the Sikhs with true bravery and deepest understanding of the Guru's message. Slowly, due to the huge number of the enemy, they eventually assembled around Judge Singh. He was now surrounded and had a Naja is spear, in his hand. Wherever the Naja hit, the enemy was destroyed. He also used a Khanda. Khanda is a double sword, with which he killed the enemy as a farmer mows down his crop. Guru saw that Judge Singh was being surrounded and the opportunity to kill the Mughal soldiers was decreasing. For over 2 hours the Khalsa unit had continued to desolate the enemy. They were becoming tired. So Guru Sahib fired volleys of arrows in the area around the Judge Singh's unit, giving protection fire to the Sikh soldiers. The person providing protection fire must be very skillful and precise, because if the target is missed, people on the same side can be killed, giving rise to casualty from friendly fire. Guru Sahib continued to give protection cover with arrows for almost 30 minutes, but none of the 5 Singhs were hit or injured by the arrows. Ajmer Singh and the 5 Sikh demonstrated the Sikh concept of one equaling the bravery and courage of 125,000 humans. Ajmer Singh eventually was able to break the ring of the Mughal army soldiers surrounding him. However, due to the huge number of enemy soldiers, the Ajmer Singh eventually attained Shahidi, but died a hero's death in the fight against tyranny and falsehood. That person alone is known as a spiritual warrior, who fights in defense of religion. They may be cut apart, piece by piece, but they never leave the field of battle. This was truly a sign of a dedicated warrior. By the time Ajmer